Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon again to all who are now joining us. Welcome. I'm seeing all our persons who pre-registered with us, for our program now signing in. So welcome on this rainy afternoon, and thank you very much for joining us. Welcome to our Ask UWI session, and today our Ask UWI session is about the Bachelor of Education program, primary. So we know you have a lot of questions, and we have our expert panelists here to be able to respond to all your questions. We're going to tell you about the program. We'll give you a little snippet about what to expect. We have an able-bodied team who are waiting in the background to answer all your questions via our chat this afternoon. So we are happy that you are here with us. We appreciate your time. And again, for those of you who are now joining us, welcome to Ask UWI about the Bachelor of Education program. My name is Nataki Kerr, and I am the manager for brand and student recruitment marketing here at the University of the West Indies. And we host sessions like these regularly. We host these hour-long sessions every couple of weeks so that we could touch on a different program. We could allow you a platform where you can ask questions, because I know that most of you, if not all of you, are going to sign up with us for our September program. That is September 2025. And the deadline date for this program is July 30th. So you have just a few short weeks to sign up with us. And we want to make sure that if you have any questions, if you have any concerns, something you want to liaise and chat with our team about, that we have the platform here for you. And this is what our session this afternoon is all about. So again, welcome to all of you. I'm seeing everybody is jumping on this rainy afternoon. So welcome. Today with me to discuss the Bachelor of Education program, primary program that is, we have with us Dr. Paulson Skerritt, who is from the School of Education. He's one of our lecturers, and he's very passionate about reading, education, and literacy. He's taught various undergrad and postgraduate programs, not only in Trinidad and Tobago and the region, but also internationally. And he has partnered with several non-governmental organizations to work with at-risk youth. So he's going to start us off this afternoon, that's Dr. Skerritt, as he's going to give us a brief overview of the Bachelor of Education primary program. And of course, as I would have mentioned before, feel free to chat with us in our chat. We will be answering questions while the hour-long session is going on. So Dr. Skerritt, I'm handing it over to you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kerr. So the Bachelor of Education primary is really the gateway to taking up an appointment in the primary school as a T1. So just to give you a bit of background, in the past, when you wanted to teach in a primary school, we would have gone to get our teacher's diploma. So the way it worked is that you would apply, get your teacher's registration, and to get your teacher's registration number, you simply have to have your 5 O-levels, and that includes math and English and a science subject. And once you have that, you can start working in the primary school system as an ATP, Assistant Teacher Primary. And that went on for many years, and then people would have, after 2 years, gone in to get their teacher's diploma, and they would get the necessary training to become a qualified primary school teacher. The last intake for the teacher's diploma was in 2006, 2005. And actually, I actually was part of that group that was historically for Trinidad and Tobago, the last set of teachers, ATPs, brought into the system to get their teacher's diploma. And halfway through that process, the government decided that there would be a new qualification for anyone wanting to teach in the primary school, and that would be having a Bachelor of Education primary degree. Of course, initially, as the process was new, things were a bit going through a lot of change, a lot of flux. So we were shifted from the teacher's diploma into that Bachelor of Education degree that was first being offered by the University of Trinidad and Tobago as this new arrangement came into being. Of course, UWI had already been offering a Bachelor of Education degree. Previously, what we offered here was a specialist degree. So persons would come into UWI, they would do a number of general courses, and then they would pursue some specialist versions of the primary degree in the areas of science, social studies, mathematics. But again, with the change of the Ministry of Education and the new requirements, we moved away from that specialist degree and now began offering the Bachelor of Education primary, and we use the term general just to differentiate it from what we offered before. So the primary education degree has three main focus. It has the content areas, because you know primary school teachers teach everything. So all of the content areas like mathematics, Spanish, English language, science, agricultural science, the primary school teacher is responsible for all of the content areas. And each content has its own pedagogy. So pedagogy has to do with the art of teaching. And so every subject would have its unique approaches to teaching that a teacher needs to know. And then you have, so we call that your content-specific pedagogy. These are terms you want to become familiar with because your degree is going to be structured around that. And then you have your general pedagogy, which would be general teaching strategies and approaches that apply across the board. And of course, one of the goals of getting the degree in primary education is for you to be able to take the ministry's curriculum. So the ministry provides you with a curriculum, and you don't teach the curriculum, you use the curriculum as a guide. So the goal of the Bachelor of Education is to allow you to flexibly transform that curriculum into effective teaching and learning activities. And to do it in a way where you're able to use very innovative modes and methods that would allow you to demonstrate that you understand the needs of your unique learners, and that you're able to meet those unique learners in a very equitable, inclusive, and holistic manner. So in addition to having the courses that would cover the content areas and the ways to teach those specific content areas, so you have courses dealing with mathematics, as I mentioned, Spanish, agricultural science, physical education. You have the VAPA courses. VAPA stands for Visual and Performing Arts. And so previously, while there was a big focus by the ministry on getting the content areas, those traditional areas, subject areas, when they shifted to that more holistic education, they required that teachers be trained in being able to use music, dance and drama, to be able to use art, visual arts, to effectively teach, not only to develop those skills in and of themselves, but to use that to better communicate the content areas. So currently, the Bachelor of Education at the University of the West Indies, as of this year, is a 3-year program. We are in the process of shifting to a 4-year program because to accommodate all of the changes the ministry has made, as you know, just as recent as last year and last 2 years, the Ministry of Education, they've revised the education policy. They've had new policies on cultural transformation, information technology. Before that, we had a big emphasis on morals and values education, health and family life education. And so all of that now, the ministry has required that the Bachelor of Education morphed, be restructured to really meet the needs of the providing the curriculum and training teachers to teach that curriculum in a very integrated manner. So the current Bachelor, which is 3 years, is being morphed into a 4-year program. It's currently 93 credits. The new program has 133 credits. And you might be wondering, whoa, that's a big jump. Yes, because in order to meet the ministry's requirements, several courses have had to be put into the Bachelor of Education program. So the current 3-year program, which is what, if you signed up to do the program this year, you might have signed up for that 3-year program. At the end of it, for a number of years now, the ministry has required that our students do what is called a bridging program to ensure that they get, for example, the VAPA courses, they are exposed to the teaching of physical education, agricultural science. so that, and of course the teaching of Spanish, not just Spanish as a language, but being able to teach Spanish in the primary school system. So we're excited to be again in this very historic time where our Bachelor of Education program is now moving across to the 4-year program, and where everything will now be contained within that 4-year degree. And we've worked with the ministry on every single course to ensure that it meets with their curriculum standards, and that it has their approval. Every single course has been approved by the ministry, so that we're sure that on completion of the 4-year degree program, the teachers can easily be appointed as a T1, ready and qualified to teach in the primary school system. As I mentioned, you have the content areas that are covered, the specific pedagogical skills to teach those content areas. You also have the general pedagogical courses that will take a look at those theories, models, strategies that allow you to look at the student from a philosophical point of view, psychological development, physical development, sociological theories that should guide the approach to teaching. And of course, you have information technology and how information technology should be used both in the design of your lessons, in every activity, the way it's structured, how educational technology, informational technology can be used to ensure that our students are really prepared as 21st century learners. And of course, the use of the VAPA courses, your visual and performing arts, dance, drama, as a way to get that information across to the students. So you can really see that this program is really going to ensure that you are going to effect change and ensure that these students that we prepare in the primary school stand a much better chance of being successful and making their own contributions to Trinidad and Tobago. So this is just a general overview. I'll be here to continue answering questions, but just to emphasize that the program is now being moved into a 4-year program. It is currently a 3-year program, but students at the end of it, they have a 2-month all-immersive bridging program that allows them to get some of those courses that the ministry have asked us to include as part of the repertoire of training. But then we're moving into a 4-year program with 133 credits that will now be the full package for training that will meet the ministry's requirements. If I could just share my screen for a few minutes to just take you through what that program looks like. So as you know, having qualified teachers is a very important. I'm just going to stop sharing and double check that I'm sharing the slides. There we are. So as I mentioned, one of the sustainable goals has to do with ensuring we have qualified teachers. And the goal is to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education that promotes lifelong learning opportunities for all. So we worked our degree, we've had consensus building from the Ministry of Education, experts at the School of Education in the various areas. And of course, all the research we've done to benchmark our degree with Bachelor of Education degrees, both regionally and internationally. That was done to ensure that we met the high standards. And so now what we have is a program with some 43 courses, 133 credits that lines up with the Ministry of Education's requirements for the entry position of T1 in the primary school. And we've aligned what the ministry, the CPU's office requires with our degree program to ensure that it meets with that. So another big change is the practicum. In our current degree, your practicum tends to be focused on the final year. But now in the new degree, the practicum starts from the very first year, where you're gradually being introduced to this whole collaborative relationship with your cooperating teacher, and then working with a partner in the school system to begin delivering those lessons and getting the support from your practicum supervisors, to eventually in your fourth year having your individual practicum where you're on your own working with your practicum supervisor and your cooperating teacher to really ensure that you have developed and are able to deliver the curriculum and flexibly transform it into those activities that will develop your students. And of course, with the new program, we're hoping to primarily offer it as a full-time program that will be done during the day, just as a regular scheduling for bachelor's courses at the university. So courses will be done, there'll be a kind of pre-service degree, but we are aware, the ministry has indicated to us there are some 886 ATPs in the system who still need to get their bachelor's degree. And we may very well also have to be operating a second version of the program, which will be done on the evenings, because for those ATPs who are still in the system, they'll be teaching during the day and can only access the B.Ed program on evenings as it currently exists. The current program was designed primarily as an in-service program. And so most of our applicants have been individuals in the teaching service. We realize now that many of our applicants are coming in without any teaching experience. And so right now, the new program, you are able to get into the program with your CSEC passes. Previously, you would either have to have your A-levels or come in and do the ECCD certificate, which would be the bridge you would need to get into the bachelor's program. But that has changed now. Effective this year, you can come in with your CSEC passes, but you will have to do the 4-year program. And of course, as I mentioned, the practicum goes all the way through. And it's a really beautifully designed practicum program that will ensure that teachers comfortably develop those skills without feeling the pressure of having it done in the 4th year as currently exists. So I'm going to take a break there, and looking forward to getting the questions to clarify any issues that you may have.
Thanks so much, Dr. Skerritt, for that comprehensive overview of the program. And while you were explaining and giving us a very all-encompassing look at everything, the questions have been coming in on the chat fast and furious. And our team has been responding as quickly as we can. And just as a reminder, folks, this is exactly why we're here this afternoon, to provide a platform for us to be able to answer your questions, because our deadline date for applications for our September 2025 intake is quickly approaching. It's July 30th. So we want to make sure that you're comfortable and that you are one step closer to joining us on our beautiful St. Augustine campus here in September 2025. And for those of you who may know someone who, because of the inclement weather, may have missed the session, you can check on our YouTube pages as of next week, Tuesday. By next Tuesday, we'll have uploaded everything. So in case you need to go over the session again, you can do that. And we'll also be communicating with you online. So as we move along in our Ask You session this afternoon, I would like to introduce our next speaker, who may look slightly familiar to some of us because he's done a lot of teaching online and bringing school to us via our homes and through our computers and so on. I'd like to introduce Mr. Andre Forrester, but today he is here as a past student of our program. So he is going to give us a little insight about what it was, how his experience was as a student passing through the program. So Mr. Forrester, the floor is all yours.
Thank you so very much. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to UE. Right, so as Ms. Carr would have said, I am a previous student, a past student of the B.Ed program to which you all are hopefully about to enter. And additionally, Dr. Skerritt was one of my very first lecturers when I would have begun as well. So I have a lot of experience with the panelists here too. So I would have started off after having transferred from a previous university into UWI. So we had some issues with that one day, me and some friends of mine, and we came across. I started off as an ATP, started university afterwards, and then had to switch to UWI. So they were very gracious actually for having us join when we did. So that was something that I'm always quite happy about, right? Because we joined under some very special circumstances, and I say we because it was me and 13 others. So since then, we have loaded the program itself. It has definitely assisted in the job to which I am in. So I'm a teacher. I have been, and as I said, I started as an ACP, so I was already in the system when I came into UE. But it changed everything. So it was really, they were really accommodating. The 5 o'clock time in the afternoon was also very helpful for me because I lived at the time in Moruga. So I don't know if how many of you know where Moruga is, and I'm saying that because some people do not. So Moruga is just about, with traffic on an afternoon, about a 2 hour drive to St. Augustine. So when I leave work at 3, say I have no space whatsoever for traffic, for movement, for anything. And it would not have been able to be accommodated really anywhere else. So the 5 o'clock time was actually very good for me. And getting there, having the experience of online, because during COVID we had online, in-person practical sessions, the practicum itself, and all of the wonderful lecturers, which were really, really good. As I said, Dr. Skerritt was one of the first lecturers, and I thank God for him every day. Right. Dr. Skerritt helped us through a lot. So when we were doing his program, he was a big help. And for those of you who will join, I'm telling you all in advance, everything that Dr. Scarrett gives you, save it. Save it on a flash drive, download it, save it, put it in a folder. It's going to be useful forever, right? They also have a lot of fun sessions. So they would have mentioned previously some of the VAPA programs and some of the different things. You're going to have a lot of fun with those, anybody who chooses to join them. I'm not going to spoil anything now, but you'll have some really fun activities to do. So even though it's a degree, it's very interactive, it's going to be something that you have to actually learn thing to do. No, you're not going to be passively just sitting there and letting the world pass you by. You are going to have to internalize, and doing the degree, since I actually started teaching before I came into the degree, I can say it definitely helps. Like there were some classes, you would have a class the afternoon and I would go and try something that I would have learned the day after, right? Genuinely, I would have gone and tried it, whether it was a strategy, whether it was a technique that a lecturer would have shown, or something to that effect. You also have cases where some things that you do not realize are important, things that passively you may do or not do that you don't realize they actually have an impact on your students, and you realize, okay, so this is why we would do this, or this is why we would not do this, right? There are going to be some areas that you are going to become very passionate about, reading being one of them, I hope. As I mentioned, I do teach in a more rural area. Now, I'm thankful that my students, at least my students, are able to read. Like they are not struggling. They're at least at the immersion level for my entire class. I'm very glad. I'm very proud about that. And a lot of that would have come from some of the techniques that I would have learned in UE itself. So it's directly applicable to the job. So if it is teaching that you are choosing to do, I cannot say that there's any way better for you to do it. Let me see. Was there anything else that I wanted to make sure and impart with you all? I'm sure there are others. Let me see. Oh, all right. So somebody is right. So yes, so take your time, make the decision, choose it. If teaching is what you are passionate about, if it is something that you want to do, I can wholeheartedly recommend the University of the West Indies B.Ed program. I know that some changes are being made, but based on the people who are making those changes, I know it will be for the best, because some of them were my lecturers, as we have here. So I people that I have known, people that I have met over the course of many years, and who have helped and continue to help, because I can still reach out and ask for assistance or ask for some advice or talk to them even years after I have finished my degree. And knowing that I have a lot of people from my cohort, I know that it's not me alone. So that is also very good. Last bit of advice, make sure you have a good team with you. So as I said, I started with 13 others and we managed to maintain, nobody got left behind. We went through the entire degree together, right? And up to this day, they are some of my very best friends. They are family to me. And of course, I would have met other people in the program. Teaching is a team sport. You may have your own class, you will have your own class eventually, but at the same time, you are going to want and hopefully give assistance to and from other teachers throughout the country. And it is good to be in contact with other teachers. They will help you with some things. You will get resources. You will get some shortcuts the way you could find things and do things and help your students as much as possible. And hopefully, you will all join us in BEd if I decide to come back to do my master's soon, eventually, yes. If not, I will see you all in the teaching service not too long from now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Forrester. We couldn't have said it better ourselves. So thank you very much. We know you had a wonderful experience, so thanks for sharing. And we have quite a few questions, and our team has been answering several of the questions online. So let me just highlight a few. For Dr. Scarrett, someone was asking to explain exactly what is the Practicum site letter. Can you just explain that briefly for us?
So that was a requirement for the previous bachelor's program. The new program doesn't require that. So what the person would have to do is that they would need to identify a school that is going to allow them to do their practicum when the practicum time comes. With the new system, the ministry has urged us to develop a cohort of schools that we're working with all the cooperating teachers. And so we no longer require that persons have provide that practicum site letter. The current program, it was required. And so if persons coming in this year would have been asked to get it, and it's simply going to a school and it's not set in stone. So for example, if you come in with the program, that school that you would have identified, let's say you've decided that you would like to go to a different school, then in the months before the practicum starts, the practicum supervisors would be making arrangements along with the BEd secretariat to have you identify a school and confirm that you can do your practicum. And we write the ministry and get approval for you to do your practicum in that school. So that's what our practicum site letter is about. But the new program we're moving into, persons are not required to get that anymore because we will be identifying all the schools we'll be working with, where we ensure that we have cooperative teachers who are very qualified to work with our students during their practicum, so that they're not placed in classrooms where teachers may not be the ideal for being good models of teaching with all of the new theories and guidelines and models that our students are being exposed to, so that they are able to practice and see modeled in the classroom what we actually teach them as they themselves develop their practical skills.
Okay. Thanks very much, Dr. Scarrett. And someone was also asking about the program and if it is strictly full-time or if there's a part-time option.
The program, while it's done, for example, in the current program, while it's on evenings, it is a full-time program. There's no part-time options, full-time evenings, because it was initially designed for in-service teachers, which means they could only come in the evenings for classes. So as Andre mentioned, classes were from 5 to 8, or class might be from 4:30 to 7:30. Generally, the classes are from 5 to 8 for those classes scheduled on the evenings to give teachers enough time to leave school and then come for their classes. The new program, if the primary version will be as a pre-service program. So classes may be in the morning. You might have a class from 8 to 12. You might have a class from 1 to 4. You might have a class from 5 to 8. But then if we do have sufficient pre-service teachers who are applying and they can't leave school unless they can work that out, then they would also have to run a version of the program on the evenings to accommodate those students once we have sufficient numbers to make it financially viable.
Okay. We also have a question about if there is face-to-face or if it's online, but one of our team has already answered and said that the program is a hybrid one. Teacher is done via the blended mode. Some lectures are conducted face-to-face and some are done via Zoom. So we already have that answer there. So that's for those of you who may be driving home and listening in and can't really type right now. There are several other questions. Sorry?
Can I add something to that? Because I know
Oh.
many people will be excited by this. So our programs are blended with a strong online blend, so that for most of the courses, you may have just about 4 face-to-face classes. We really encourage our lectures unless a particular lecture requires, and there are instances, especially in the VAPA courses and some of the other courses where we require students to be there in person because of the nature of the activities necessary to develop the competencies, the outcomes. If not, because we understand that people are coming to this degree, they're coming from very far and wide, and the opportunities, as long as we can conduct those sessions remotely, Zoom is the platform that the university has embraced, then the classes are going to be held on Zoom. And of course, you've seen in the media, the Bachelor's of Education program is one of the programs that have been slated to be offered at the DB campus, if that comes on stream, and when it comes on stream. So there's an opportunity as well for us to have a high flex system where students will be able to go to the DB campus if that's nearer to them, and participate in the program. But of course, that will only occur when we have the complete approval and that has been got off the ground.
Yes, I see someone was asking if we had classes in Tobago, but our team responded and of course encouraged them to apply because we have such, so many of the classes are online that it makes it really easy to access this program. And that's one of the things I think that makes it very convenient for persons who have families, etc., etc. So that we have another question coming in. The full-time evenings are completed in the same 3-year period, the full-time evenings, or this is a different timing?
For the current program, it's full-time evenings only for the current program. We are now introducing this new program that's going to be 4 years. You'll have a day, we don't want to say day version, I'm using these terms loosely. It's full-time, but the classes will be morning, afternoon, maybe evening. And then if there's a pre-service version of the program that's necessary because we have a cohort of those 886 ATPs still in the system, and we have sufficient applicants who would like to do the program, but they are ATPs, which means they are in school and they can only take the course in the afternoon, on the afternoons, then it'll be the same 4 years, but they'll be doing it over the 3 semesters, because our School of Education is an official 3-semester institution. So you have semester 1, semester 2, and semester 3. And there are courses, at least a minimum, about 2 courses scheduled in the summer or 3rd semester. If it is the day program, then it will just be 2 semesters, semesters 1 and 2. And so students will have so many more courses that they'll be doing each semester, but it'll be completed in the same 4 years. With regard to the 3-year program, it is the same 3 years, but the courses are split over the 3 semesters, semesters 1, 2, and 3. The School of Education has an official 3-semester program.
Okay. We had an earlier question about the cutoff age to apply for this program, but one of our team already responded and said, you can sign up for our program at 17 years plus, and of course, we don't have a cutoff period. So we welcome all who are interested to apply for our program. And I'm seeing some links in the chat, so you can click on the links to see what the prerequisites are. We also had a couple of questions on prerequisites, which were answered earlier. Let me ask this question for you, Dr. Skerritt. Someone wants to put you on the spot, but I'm quite sure you can handle it. How is this program different from the Early Childhood Care and Education and Family Life Studies degree offered at the UWI Global Campus. So I'm sure you're going to wax warm and tell them what are the advantages of our program, because we do have the best program.
Yeah, so a lot of times people have completed an early childhood education degree. When they go to the ministry and ask to be upgraded to T1, they are given a letter asking them to complete a number of courses, and they have been coming back to us now to do some of the courses in our B.Ed program because they're missing those courses. So early childhood degrees will qualify you to teach in the early classes in the primary school. I think maybe up to standard 1, if I'm not mistaken. Dr. Supal might be able to just confirm that for me in the chat. But to get to be able to qualify as a T1, so you can teach in standards 2, 3, 4, and 5, you have to get those courses that are in our Bachelor of Education program. So as I said, the current program, you have to complete it and do the bridging program that allows you to get those VAPA courses, agri-science, physical education, and the teaching of Spanish. But now with the new restructured program that has been approved, and we're just working out through some final approvals that are outside of our scope at UWI, because it's a process. But that program is complete in itself, and it aligns with the CPU's requirements for appointment as a T1. We've met all of the credit tariffs they've outlined, and of course the program has taken into consideration all the new policies and the new like things like cultural transformation, educational technology. There's a course on equity, diversity to ensure that we're able to deal with students with special needs. We understand the range of special needs and how we can address the needs of those students in the general ed classroom that you find in the primary school system.
Okay. And Dr. Skerritt, how about this question we have here? Can I do a minor in psychology while doing my bachelor in education? Do you think that's possible?
So the Bachelor of Education has a fixed set of courses. Previously, a minor was not permitted. With the new Bachelor of Education, I know that the deans, or former dean, and even the current dean, there's been an interest in whether students should be able to pursue a minor. So I don't think we have really addressed that fully, but it's something that we want to look into to make that possible, because I know it has been over the years a request by students. They want to do the Bachelor of Education program, but they also want to do a minor in something else. And I think now that we are at the point where the program is restructured, it is something that we definitely would want to look into. But I'm not able to make a definitive comment on that, but we will take note of the person asking that question and definitely respond to them. But a general response will be given once we address that from the faculty's point of view.
Okay, thanks very much. And we also have a question because we have persons who are just able to join us. So even before I get to that question, let me say welcome to all of you who are joining us. We welcome you. We know it's a rainy afternoon and we value your time. And if you want, you can scroll through the chat. You may be able to see some of the questions that you may have missed, but we'll try and copy paste them and repeat to make sure it's easy for you to access them. But we had someone who was asking as if the person lived in Point Fortin and they were asking about a closer campus, or if it is they have to come to St. Augustine. And if I may be so bold, Dr. Skerritt, to answer that question, we were discussing the fact that this program is very much hybrid and most of the classes are online. We also heard earlier from our past student, Mr. Forrester, who lives in Moruga, and he mentioned that because of the timing of the classes at the time, he was able to come to UWI and then go home. But now we also have several more online options, so it's easier if you do live a distance away from our St. Augustine campus. It's easy for you to access the program, yeah? And we also have other links in the chat because we know that several of you have a few questions. So we put our email address there to make sure that you have a channel, a direct channel to Dr. Skerritt and his team to make sure you can have all your questions answered. We'll also put our phone extensions there soon so that in case you want to call and just talk to someone to ask them a couple of things that you may have on your mind, we're going to put all our contact information there to make sure that you get all your queries and your questions answered. let's see, Dr. Scarlett, let me see. I know I can't put you on the spot at all because you can answer any question that we pose. So let me see what other questions we have here. In terms of what you mentioned earlier, I remember you saying something about innovative modes and methods. Can you just tell us some examples of some different and unique modes and methods?
For example, one of a big thrust in our teaching is to get students teachers to use universal design for learning, not as a secondary thought that I've done my lesson, how else could I maybe find multiple modes of representing the content or multiple modes of getting students to express their learning, or even multiple modes of engaging the students during the lesson, the various activities, but to design their lesson up front to be more inclusive by using those multiple modes. So I may, as part of my teaching activities, use a video. We train our teachers in the use of things like H5P, where their lessons become more interactive. So they may have a particular segment of a lesson done through a video that is interactive and students being able to answer questions, respond as the video is going through. It may have audio, video, some kind of graphic means of teaching the lesson. So they have multiple modes of representation, multiple modes of engagement, multiple modes of expression. So you don't have to write. You might be willing to respond to a question using developing a video yourself, or some other means of expressing your understanding. And that's just one aspect of it. We try to ensure that there's equity because students learn differently. Sometimes they have an interest in having an immersive, practical approach to discover learning. So we get teachers to understand how lessons can use that discovery approach where you are leading students to discover the things that you want them to learn rather than just being told. So that's just an illustration of some of the approaches that we're using. And of course, with technology now and the use of AI that allows students to further brainstorm and get ideas and then try to transform those ideas in a very creative way. We are encouraging our teachers to become very much willing to embrace all that's new and see how best they can use it to develop their skills in teaching.
Okay. Dr. Paulson, Dr. Scarlett, sorry. I have a question here. I know sometimes it takes a while before one is accepted to the teaching service. Can I apply to the teaching service even though I may have just started this program? What would you advise?
Yes, I know now that the teaching service is requiring that people meet the requirements that the ministry has. They need to have their degree. But I don't think there's an issue with that. I think that doesn't change up to today. I saw on the ministry's website that you apply for your teacher's registration number as usual, and you need to have your 5 O levels. You must have your math, English, and the science subject. So that arrangement has not changed. It's still there on the ministry's website. So I would suggest applying. And of course, the new arrangement is that if you want to be appointed as a T1 in the primary school system, you have to have that Bachelor of Education degree that meets with the ministry's credit tariff, which our program aligns with now.
I have another interesting question for you, Dr. Scarlett, and this one is going to put you on the spot a little. Someone asked about one of our competitors, but I'm not going to call the name, but they said, can you speak on the belief that our competitor, who also trains teachers, these teachers are usually hired faster than UWI trained teachers?
I am not aware of that. That may just be, that has to be just speculation.
Speculation.
In fact, I think a lot of our teachers have been employed. In fact, I have private schools who would definitely ask us for recommendations for teachers. I've just had 3 teachers at a school because the principal is aware of the quality, the rigor that our program has. So they would call us and ask for recommendations for the teachers who graduate from our system for employment in their schools. And quite a few of our teachers are in the, quite a lot of our teachers are in the primary school system. So I'm not aware of that.
Okay, that's a good answer, Dr. Skerritt. I'm seeing several persons here. And again, for those of you who just had the opportunity to join us, thank you very much. We know it's a rainy afternoon and we appreciate your time. And don't worry if you've missed some of it. We are going to upload the recording of this session on YouTube early next week. So look out for it so that you would not have missed anything. Someone is asking about the cost of the program. We already have links for those on the chat. And in terms of secondary school degrees, someone was asking about secondary school degrees, but I think our team was able to handle that quite adequately. And another question came in about the timing of the classes. We confirmed it's around 5 to 8 p.m. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be for the evening, the program that is that is what we call the pre-serve, in-service program. We are aiming with the new program to offer the classes like a regular bachelor's program at UWI. We'll have classes in the morning, in the afternoon. You may have a class in the evening. But classes are still going to be blended. And so at least maybe 4 out of your 12 sessions, you may have to be on campus for face-to-face engagement.
Okay. Dr. Skerritt, something else you mentioned earlier about unique learners. You were explaining the program and giving us an overview of the program, and you mentioned something about unique learners. When you say unique learners, can you give us some examples of what you meant?
Well, one of the things I know for the bachelor's program that we try to address, our students are coming from homes where their first language is Trinidad English Creole. You know, we have a crisis in reading, and we've attributed some of that crisis to the fact that our students are growing up in homes where they speak English Creole, but they're expected to read and write in the standard English. And so we, for example, in the new program have included a course on linguistics with a focus on Trinidad English Creole and Trinidad Standard English, trying to get our cohort of students in Trinidad and Tobago to develop their competencies in Trinidad Standard English, which they expected is the language of schooling, language of education, language of government, but making sure that the teachers themselves have developed what we call metalinguistic awareness. They understand both languages, they understand flexibly how to move between both languages, and they can now help their students to do that. So we have students developing competencies in reading and writing in the standard while respecting their fully developed and beautiful Trinidad English Creole. So that's one of the unique things that we're preparing our teachers now to no longer be conceptualizing children as speaking bad English and we had to get them to speak good English. That is out the window. But respecting our Creole, helping students to develop using whether it's all the understandings of translanguaging and bilingual teaching to ensure that we develop and understand the Creole and get our students to read and write in standard English. And that's just one aspect. You also have the fact that our students are coming in the regular classroom with comorbidities. They may have different disabilities. Some, they are deaf children in the regular classroom. Sign language is a requirement for students doing the B.Ed program now. So it's accepted as one of the foreign language requirements. So the B.Ed students who do not come in with a foreign language can take the sign language course as their foreign language. But for all B.Ed students, even those who come in with a foreign language, they will also be required to take the sign language course in lieu of one of the university's foundation courses. So every single B.Ed student has to do sign language because we have deaf students in our classroom. And too many teachers, when they confront a deaf student in the classroom, don't know what to do, and sometimes they're not providing that student's unique needs and not meeting that need. So those are so many ways in which we've designed this program to ensure that our students coming in can have their needs addressed.
Okay, thanks, Dr. Skerritt. I have an earlier question. I am an ATP for 2 years already. Would I require a letter from my principal in addition to my qualifications?
I would think that if you're going into the program, if you would need time off, for example, when you have the practicum period, you're going to have to get that consent from the principal. But it's not going to, being an ATP in the system, unless you are going to, if you want to take the program during the day, it means you have to work out some arrangement with your principal. Other than that, you may have to take the program as offered in the evening because you'll be working full-time in the school.
Okay. And another query here, someone is asking for your advice in terms of how many courses would you advise students to register for each semester?
So our program comes fixed, both the current program and the new one. So a person will need to register for all of the courses that are assigned for or scheduled in a particular semester. Now, of course, students will still have the option of registering for as many courses as they would like, but we will advise our students to register for all of the courses that have been scheduled for a semester, or else you end up having to finish the program over a longer period. All right, because it means you'll have to come back in another year when those courses are being offered to take them. So the program has a very specific structure, and you're required to take the courses when recommended based on the academic advising provided.
Okay, thanks very much, Dr. Scarrett. Seeing a couple of questions came in, but our team is really on the ball this evening and they're answering as quickly as possible. And I'm really happy about that, so that I know that most of us have come on to have certain questions answered because you're thinking about signing up. You know that our deadline date is July 30th. If you want to be part of that September 2025 intake. So you came on board to have your questions answered, and we're really happy to have provided a platform to do so. I think we've answered all our questions, Dr. Scarrett. You've very comprehensively helped us to allay whatever fears our prospects may have. And Mr. Forrester, of course, was there to give us his perspective. So I think we can close off here this afternoon. Again, everyone, we know it's a rainy afternoon. So if you have a friend, or maybe you missed part of the session, have no fear, because we are going to upload the recording of this session onto YouTube, probably by next week, Tuesday. So you can keep checking. I think we had also put a link earlier in our chat. I'd like to thank Dr. Scarrett and Mr. Forrester and our team in the background for being with us on this rainy afternoon. And I'm really happy that we could all attend. But before we go, I'm just seeing one more question. Will the online delivery be similar to this meeting? Well, except for me, I would not be able to help you with the online delivery. But Dr. Scarrett, how will the online delivery be positioned? Is there a particular format? Will it be similar to how we have done this session?
So we use Zoom. Of course, there are breakout rooms. There's opportunity for students to. UWI has a learning management system. It's called My eLearning. So you'd find that a lot of the material for classes are uploaded there. Sometimes assessments are built into My eLearning, so students can do their assessments using My eLearning. So the platform, Zoom is also connected to the platform. So all the resources, the library, you have access to the library and all its resources electronically. So you don't have to physically come to the library. While we encourage students to do that, they can, as part of the program, have access to all of the online resources in the library that would support their learning.
Okay. Yeah, and I think we've come to the end of everything this afternoon. So again, Dr. Scarrett and Mr. Forrester, I'd like to thank you and the team. For those of you who may have come in late, have no fear. We will have the recording available to you, and we will reach out. We'll reach out to you to ensure that maybe if you have any niggling questions or maybe something occurred to you afterwards, we want to make sure that you have a platform to reach out to us. I'm seeing some thanks coming in there Mr. Forrester and Dr. Skerritt. Thanks for some of our attendees are thanking you for providing such a forum. So again, thanks everyone. Please be safe out there in the weather, and don't forget our deadline date is July 30th. So make sure and apply for our Bachelor of Education program primary. Again, thank you very much.